Hey, what's up, everybody? Chad Calek here, and welcome back to the In a Crowded Room podcast. Where on this episode, by popular request, I got a lot of emails about this. You guys have asked me to look at the Borat scene with Rudy Giuliani through an editor's lens and kind of break it down and go over the editing tricks that were used. And after doing so, I got to tell you, there were a lot of tricks. And there's probably some things that you didn't notice and some things that were clearly staged well before Rudy got there, and even some criticism that's fairly unjust if you actually take a look at some of the details of the scene. So I'll get into it all. I'll break it all down. But look, full disclosure, I am not a Rudy Giuliani fan. A lot can be said for his earlier work. What he did with the crime syndicates was truly impressive. He was successful taking down the old school five families of the northeastern mob, and he did provide a lot of symbolism during 9/11. But I guess where he really lost me is just kind of being this mouthpiece for Trump, and it has nothing to do with Trump. It's when anybody suddenly becomes a mouthpiece for anybody else, I lose respect for him, because nobody on planet Earth thinks that every single thing another person does is right. And that's kind of been Rudy's role, is no matter, what he's told to do, he'll just do it. And the obvious thing to talk about is the whole Stormy Daniels thing. And trust me, I'm not a Stormy Daniels fan either. But clearly, Trump, had her paid off to be quiet. And initially, this is something that Rudy was denying, and then later on was saying that he did, when ultimately I'm the first person to say, who cares? Who cares who the president screwed or didn't screw or whatever? But it was just weird watching this guy, Rudy, who is such a fixture of 9/11 and Americana, suddenly out bad-mouthing Stormy Daniels for being a porn star, when I'm kind of going, well, wait a minute. The president was the one that was with her. I mean, why is she so horrible because she's a porn star, Anyways, that's a whole other episode, but I just wanted to be upfront that I don't like Rudy per se. So if you ever want to know how honest I am on this show, I'm telling you right now, I don't like Rudy, and I think he's probably taken a little bit of criticism that is probably unfair once you actually look at the editing of the scene and how it was broken down. Having said that, let's get into it. Let's pull up a scene right here, and basically I'll just run the Rudy clips, and I will, cut out the intermittent stuff with Sacha, because ultimately it doesn't really matter. So, all right, here's the clip, and let's hit play on it right now.
Nice to meet you, my dear.
Nice to meet you.
Well, first and foremost, you can tell they're sitting, obviously, in a hotel room. There's a reason for this. Obviously, they want a bedroom within close vicinity, and they want to find a way to get him into that bedroom with her. That's the payoff, right? That's the goal. They know that going into it. Rudy doesn't. So the first question you would ask is, why is he going to a hotel to do an interview? Well, I could tell you the answer. The answer is money. I mean, typically when you do interviews, you go down and do them at either at the news agency, like the New York Times will have you come in and do an interview, or they will come meet you at some place that would be more formal. Usually if it's at a hotel, it would be in a conference room that would be set up, or just what they call media rooms, which are basically rooms with a chair and a bathroom and stuff like that close by. So the fact that they're doing it in a hotel room, that should have kind of tipped Rudy off that something weird was going on. But it does happen sometimes, but it's just very, very rare for these reasons. It's very informal. And why would he be doing an interview with what he believes to be a 15-year-old girl from somewhere overseas? Well, again, money. That's why. Typically you don't pay people for interviews, but when you're not a large, news organization, That absolutely does happen, where you get offered money. Now, remember, Sacha has a ton of money because he's, gets, millions and millions and millions of dollars to, make these movies. So he has cash to throw around. If you guys have seen this movie, or even if you haven't, I'll describe it. There is a Republican event that's held outside, and Sacha shows up dressed like a farmer, and he basically takes the stage and he sings this really, really racist song, and then afterwards he dips out when he gets chased off the stage, and he hides in an ambulance. The ambulance actually gets him out of there. So you would say, well, how did he get his stage there? How was he invited on stage to sing this racist song at this Republican event? Well, you find out later on that his company formed a fake PAC called Right to Work from California, and they paid for all kinds of stuff at the event. So the local promoters were like, wow, this group from California just wants to pay for everything, for security, stages. They paid for the fence. They paid for the PA. They paid for merchandising locations, like all kinds of stuff. So they were just throwing money at him left and right. So they just accepted it. I'm assuming in this scenario with Rudy, not that he's said this, but he probably just got offered a decent amount of money, in which he showed up and saw a cute little girl there waiting to interview him. But here we go. Let's hit play again and see how it goes from here.
You're one of my greatest heroes.
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you. Thank you.
I will try my best, but because I'm super excited and nervous.
Well, you relax. I'll relax. You want me to ask you questions? I'll relax you, okay?
Yes, thank you. I feel like I'm living in a fairy tale.
Sure. You're going to do great, okay?
So, please take this. It used to belong to my father, but I think you should keep it.
Oh, my God, that's wonderful that you gave this to me. So, well, thank you, my dear.
Okay, my guess is that this scene right here, this is added. Because had Rudy Giuliani, opened a book to a scene of this vagina and all this, and this young girl just gave it to him, of course he would have questions, at the very least. My guess is that she gave him a legitimate book. He looked at it and went, oh my God, this is so amazing, whatever he just said. And then they moved on. And they later shot an older person holding this book and flipping to these pages. And then they cut it back in. So it makes it appear like he saw the book, he saw the outrageous stuff, he was fine with it and kept moving on.
A little bit about China. As an expert of national security, what do you think we can do going forward to prevent this from happening again?
Well, China manufactured the virus and let it out. And they deliberately spread it all around the world. I don't think anybody was eating bats.
Yeah.
Did you ever have a bat?
Oh, no. I don't think I'll ever to eat a bat. If you eat a bat with me,
okay, I will. I'll eat a bat with you.
You're so funny.
Okay, that's an added reaction. She says something, if you eat a bat with me, he laughs, she laughs. Then they cut to the second angle, and she reaches forward and touches him, and they're laughing again, too. So you do this a lot of times when you want to create just discomfort. There was a natural reaction and chuckle back and forth, but then they add another chuckle that could have come from any different time in the conversation, and it makes it feel uncomfortable and feel kind of creepy, because if you listen, there's an ominous tone that they've also snuck in there as background music. Right? It's an ominous tone that's just the whole time. It just kind of signals something bad is going to happen. And then they're adding, like I said, the extra reaction time, and the laugh seems longer and just seems weirder.
You're so funny.
But that is absolutely an additional cut from an additional question that they threw in right there. Okay, let's keep going.
So probably in a rough estimate.
Okay, once again, let's stop real quick. When they cut back to this scene, they are specifically using the scene of him like cleaning up his lips, like he's licking his lips, right? This is very common in interviews for people to have, some kind of wipe rag for sweat or for spit. Just happens all the time. typically you never actually use this. They cut this out, but they use it here. As it implies just something creepy, something totally normal that he did that isn't, it gives a creepy feeling when you see it like that.
How many lives President Trump saved?
I'd say he saved 1 million lives. It would have been 1 million more had he waited that month, the way the Democrats would have done.
Yeah.
But he acted swiftly. He acted before anybody. In fact, even his own advisors, some of them advised him not to do it.
Yeah.
I'm good. You're a little bit. This is good. There you go.
Yeah. It's always. Never been in front of the camera. I've always been behind of the camera. But today, something with this.
I think you're going to look pretty good.
We'll see.
You're going to look pretty good.
But it's because of you.
Well, thank you.
I really feel like Melania right now.
Well, you're doing very well. You're going to look pretty good.
Sorry to interrupt, Mayor.
Okay, I don't know if you guys caught that or not, but they just used the same exact comment twice. He says at the beginning, I'll go back and rewind it in a second. He says, I think you're going to look pretty good. And it's nice and loud. It comes out, right? And then they cut to him and they start talking a little bit more. And then right before Borat comes back in, lower mixed in, you hear him say, I think you look pretty good. It's the same exact quote. Listen again.
You're a little bit. This is good. There you go.
Yeah. It's always. Never been in front of the camera. I've always been behind of the camera. But today, something with this.
I think you're going to look pretty good.
We'll see.
You're going to look pretty
But
good.
it's because of you.
Well, thank you.
I really feel like Melania right now.
Well, you're doing very well. You're going to look pretty good.
Sorry to interrupt, Mayor.
Sound problem. I think we cancel interview.
Mm-hmm.
So they use the same exact comment, which is, I think you're going to look pretty good. Okay, very creepily snuck in there. And each time they lower the volume on it, almost like he's whispering it or something. So they are clearly creating a scenario that is not real. He's not saying that over and over again.
I don't think we need. Because
Yeah, what do I do?
I already checked.
Okay.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's a bit better. Let me just listen in for a bit. Yeah.
Is she asking too many questions?
No, she's doing great.
She'd make a very nagging wife.
No.
If I were you, I would stick to marrying your cousins.
Okay, so all that's fine. That's back and forth. Rudy doesn't really know what's going on. It would be just so you guys know, it would be highly unlikely that an audio guy would address the main talent and start making fun or saying derogatory comments about the interviewer. Rudy at that point should have known there's something really weird going on here. That would never happen. That audio guy would be fired on spot. So the fact that he didn't respond to that, pretty weird. So here we go.
Let me check the sound. Can I check the sound?
Sure.
Mr. Mayor, can you say something? Can you say something?
Yes, I'm fine.
Yeah, the sound is perfect.
It's probably better if I stay in.
No, please. If I need you, I will call you.
Sure.
You will be. I'm so sorry. That's
Relax,
horrible.
Sit. Okay.
I'm so sorry for that. Really, apologize.
Okay, so as we see here, she's touching him again. This is the second time she's done that, where she's the one breaking kind of like the physical barrier wall and touching him. Not to say that gives him any right to touch her, but look, man, in real life, when people touch you, you feel as though you can touch them, to some degree, right? She's reaching forward and touching his leg. So she's certainly not acting as though, he's repulsive to her or anything like that. So moving on.
Apology accepted. No problem.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah. Thank you again for giving me this time. Shall we have a drink in the bedroom?
Okay, so that's a terrible cut. Suddenly we go from them sitting there to they're standing up and they're moving, and you don't see her face when you hear, shall we have a drink in the bedroom? And if you listen, the polarity of the clip sounds different. It's bouncing off the wall. So they're somewhere else when they recorded that. That's an audio clip that's been flown in. They probably just recorded her saying it in the room when she was alone, and then they dropped it in there, or they did it in post-production. She never said that to him in the interview at all, or else they would have used that. That would be a major thing if she looked to him and said, shall we continue this in the bedroom? I mean, that would be like, yo. But she didn't. She never said that to his face. That is just flown in audio that they just sunk in when she turned around to make it appear as though she asked him, do you want to come to the bedroom with me?
Apology accepted. No problem.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah. Thank you again for giving me this time. Shall we have a drink in the bedroom?
Come here. Come here. What happened? There you go, my dear.
Okay.
Yeah, you can be good. You can give me your phone number and your address.
Okay, so everything up to this point was almost all fabricated. The sigh, that's added in. His come here, there you go. That's, she's taking off her audio pack where she asked him for help, in which as he was taking it off, he probably said at some point, come here, you're good. All right, but they fly it in like he's like creepily saying it to her. And all of it is, not at all the situation that they're setting up. And by the way, if you listen to the sound design, the music's getting louder and louder and louder. It's just that ominous tone. Something bad is fixing to happen. And then you hear him say, out of the blue, you can give me your phone number and your address. And he does it in a way like he's announcing it. My guess is, in the beginning, when you do interviews, a lot of times they will say to the person that they're interviewing, if you have anything else that you want to add to this interview, you can contact me later, or what's the best way for us to stay in touch. Or for all we know, it could be something totally not related, like a book of his that he would sign for her or something like that. But at some point he just said, you can give me your phone number or your address. Well, that clip is totally just dropped in here out of the blue. He didn't, they weren't discussing where he could meet her later or anything like that. And if you listen to it again here, I'll hit play in a second to replay it. You can see now how everything in here is fabricated. Everything.
Apology accepted. No problem.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah. Thank you again for giving me this time. Shall we have a drink in the bedroom?
Come here. Come here. What happened? There you go, my dear.
Okay.
Yeah, you can be good. You can give me your phone number and your address.
Okay, here's the pat that everybody talks about where he touches her on her side and her hip. First off, they added a sound effect, that pat, pat, pat that you hear. That's absolutely a sound effect to enhance that pat. So it seems harder than it was. Is it appropriate that he touched her like that? Probably not. Is it like, on a Me Too level? Certainly not. Remember, she broke the wall of contact a while ago by touching him several times. So, look, Rudy is a guy. He's a human being. And, he feels some kind of attraction to this girl who's very pretty. So is it out of line what he did? I wouldn't even know that I would call it out of line as much as I would just call it unprofessional. But I don't think that, he should be treated in any way like he's doing something on a Me Too level at all. I think, he saw a moment where he can give her a pat and he's human and he did it. And she didn't, stop him at all or give him any symbol or sign that he shouldn't, pat her. In fact, she's being very upfront with him and very touchy-feely and complimentary the entire time. But what's interesting is that they added the sound effect to the pat to make it louder. So these guys are going all the way. I mean, they are trying to take Rudy down with this. Okay, moving forward.
Should we slip your jacket?
So right there, she says, should we slip your jacket? Which is, she's just asking about him putting on the audio pack and what's the best way to actually put it on. But again, the way it's mixed in with the music, the way it's seems very like she's saying it under her breath. It seems like something kind of wrong is going on. But it's a very common question, and it's not inappropriate in any way. They're just using it like it is. So, okay.
Put down your crumb.
Oh.
She's 15. She's too old for you.
Why are you dressed like
She's
this?
my daughter. Please, take me instead.
Okay. So this is probably the dirtiest editing trick out of them all. If you look, there's 3 shots of his hand going in his pants. And it looks like he's just tucking in one side of the shirt, and then the second side, and his hand comes up. But you see him start to do it in one clip, then they cut to a different angle where they're actually re-showing that movement from the beginning, and then they cut to the third clip, and they're re-showing that entire movement slightly after the beginning. So what it does is it just creates about 3/4 of an extra second, or maybe a second, where his hand is down his pants, and that makes it appear like he's kind of playing with himself, when he's not. He's just not. And again, you know, if I hated Rudy and I wasn't honest, I would just go, he's doing something. But it looks like he's just tucking both sides of his shirt in. But when you put all 3 of those clips next to each other from different angles, it's harder to tell when that motion began and when it ended. But if you look close, they're just extending that motion. And then Sacha, of course, yells,
Put down your crumb. She's 15. She's too old for you.
Okay, there's some major editing trickery going on here. When Sacha, you know, you hear him say, put down your thumb, then you see Giuliani set up from the bed. Then you cut back to Sacha, and he is right next to the bathroom, to his left. And then over his shoulder they cut, and you see Giuliani, and he's already back on his feet around the bed with her, almost in front of Sacha, in which they kind of start going back and forth, and he's saying, I'm better than her, and I'm all this. Now, the reason that's important is because he went from being on his back to sitting up to on his feet and already around the corner when he first sees Sacha. So what I'm talking about is this. Look, when he comes in, look where he's at. And then now when this cut comes back, look where he's at. So what that means is, after he tucked in his shirt, there was some kind of discussion that went on between the girl and him, in which his shirt is back in, he's on his feet, he's already around the bed when Sacha walks in the room. So whatever he said to her after he tucked his shirt in obviously didn't play with what they're trying to imply. You know, he probably just said, thanks for the interview, or thank you, and he's just saying goodbye. But basically, this whole thing was wrapping up. And that's also why Giuliani looks so confused, like, what is going on right now?
I better. My back pussy very tight.
No, please, my front animals.
Please, I will let you enjoy my home in your mouth. No, I better.
I would love to meet you.
I was in prison many years, so I have techniques with my mouth.
What's going on here? Look at this guy.
I forbid this union.
And last but not least, Sacha says she's 15. In real life, she's 24. Just so we all know that. Because I've seen a lot of different YouTube titles that people are saying, Giuliani, in the hotel room with a 15-year-old girl. No, that was the narrative. She's 24. Now, who knows how old he thought she was? Sacha just yells that. But Giuliani was not in a room with a 15-year-old girl. Again, I don't love Giuliani. I don't like the guy at all. I'm not a fan. But this is the power of editing, guys. You can do a lot with editing, especially if you're good with timing and you're good with comedy. You could do a lot. Sacha is incredible about this stuff. I mean, there's no one better at it than him. But as you can see, when you go back and break it all down, you can really kind of see, what they're doing. But I've done stuff like this before for fun, not stuff like this, not staging these type of events, but re-editing conversations. Just for fun, a while ago, I did a little Joe Rogan clip that basically accentuated the personalities of everybody that's on the show, which was a hilarious clip. And it looked very natural, but I'll go ahead and play that for you guys right now. So check this little Joe Rogan clip out I did right here.
That's like...
When I go to the news, I like to go, I read something and I go, huh. And then I go, all right. And I go, huh. I try to figure out what the fuck is really going on. This is what I like to do. I Google it. And I go, huh. Then I go, huh. And then I go, huh. And then I go, all right. Who else says this?
That fucking Neil deGrasse Tyson. YouTube, the oil deception. We have so much oil in Alaska and all over the United States that it's cheaper.
If I was 100, my balls are like down to the ground, I would do it.
Where do you get your news?
My question is, you started that off with you had a question. What was the question?
I don't remember.
It was...
Wake the fuck up.
So I'll take a breath.
Eat shit.
It's a weird thing to be a person. You can't kick a beaver to death.
There's an inherent risk in doing that.
You're a trophy hunter for butterflies.
And we understand
Challenge.
that. That's part of the journey.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So show Eddie that bear paw.
That's fake.
The Rock gave him props. The Rock put up a post about him the other day.
Oh, fuck yeah! I listen to guys that used to be in the CIA. John Stockwell. Look him up. You listen to what they say, the whistleblowers. There's plenty of them. But John Stockwell, man, he came out and he just told you exactly the way it fucking was. And you know what? People at the very top.
Is he dead now?
No, there's a lot of great CIA agents, like all the guys coming up. They want to stop communism. We're gonna just
Trying
keep
to
going
figure
on.
out how much we drank.
I believed I was hoodwinked. We could, man.
What do you call a baby? A baby or
Calf?
Is it a calf? A calf?
A borbka.
Remember in the 1970s, man, when they fucked up our cars?
Like the
American
Challengers,
muscle
the
cars in the
Mustangs,
1960s were the shit.
How about I slap you in the face? Let's get a little more real.
Whether you agree with it or not, it's brought attention to the situation. Like we all know it now.
Exactly.
I see a man. Get behind this tree.
Why?
They kill people.
Damn.
This is a crazy thought, but think about it. If the Earth was, at one time, this thing that had no life, and it evolved to be the thing that's like today, where we're on the internet, and we're driving cars, and we're flying planes, and we're sending video through the sky, it's entirely possible that we're the first things to do this.
What the fuck? This is
I
some
do both.
bullshit.
It's possible, they say, that not only is this the first time that this has ever happened, but that this is happening simultaneously in infinite universes.
That's all from the government, motherfucker. Open your goddamn eyes. You're being honey dick, dude.
So keep that in mind, guys, when you're watching TV and you're watching footage and film. You know, there are many, many different ways to edit things and make them appear one way when they're nothing like what the final, the final product actually seems to say. So keep that in mind, guys, when you see things on television. Just because you see visuals of something does not mean at all that the final tape that made it out to the world is exactly what it is. It's not. They were very... So just keep that in mind, guys. The camera is an incredible liar. I mean, and in this short scene, they made it appear as though Giuliani was, playing with himself and making moves on a girl in a room, which the truth is he wasn't. I don't know if you guys have seen the latest deepfake software. That's a software where you can basically take someone's face and put it on anybody, and it'll copy the age that they're at or the age that they are. It's really incredible. But I just saw the most updated version a couple weeks ago on this Godfrey video on Vlad TV, and look how incredible this is. This looks like these guys are alive, especially the Richard Pryor stuff. Check this out.
And it's just a train, but Denzel's so good, he goes, are we going to stop that train? All right, so we're going to stop it. I believe we can stop this train. Huh? Right? You, me, everybody in here. We're going to stop this train, right? It's going fast, right? We got to stop it, all right? We're going to stop it. You know what I mean? Denzel Washington is still Denzel Washington, but he just happens to be a cowboy. Is that your horse right there? Is that your horse? Everybody in here has a horse? Okay. You have a horse. I have a horse. I'm a cowboy. Everybody's a cowboy. He's the same guy, but he's believable.
Even Cosby, who's in jail, don't put it in my booty. Did you say Rudy? No, in my booty. Please don't. I got 2 more years. Don't put it in my booty. Ooh. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with it. Is he doing concerts in jail?
Probably.
So the bitch accused me, right? And so I knew the bitch was lying. And all the other mother prisoners are like, yeah, that bitch lying. See, that's what I hate, man, when bitches be lying. Don't you hate that shit when they accuse you of knocking them the fuck out?
It's the same kind of intonation. And you white people, you some funny motherfuckers when you curse, Jack. But his breathing was different. He would do that. You some funny motherfuckers, Jack. Shit, goddamn.
So there you guys go. I'll tell you what, man, the future is going to be really weird because the software technology is getting so good that guys like Sacha wouldn't even need to set somebody up into a scene like this. They could literally stage the whole thing, with an actor to portray him and deep fake it and make it look like it was exactly him. So, but anyways, that is the Giuliani scene broken down. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I enjoyed it. Continue to send me your thoughts and ideas on things you want me to tackle and things you want me to discuss on the podcast. And you ask and you shall receive, my friends. Much love, all the best, and I'll be back tomorrow with more. Bye-bye.